My name is Cindy, and today we're going to be interviewing Lynn Liu. She is a research analyst at the Mark, and you're tuning in to another one of our Career Cafe interviews. So for our first question, we have, can you tell me a bit about your personal background and career path that led you to the role you're in today?
Yeah, of course. So, hi, I'm Lynn. I have a master's in social epidemiology from the University of College London. So I did do my master's abroad, and my bachelor's I got from University of California, Irvine in social policy, public service, and also in public health policy. And currently, I am a research analyst at the Mark. We do a lot more evaluation work in higher education. But I started off doing a lot of work trying to get into the field of public health, mostly in data. But unfortunately, it's been a little bit challenging, and so it's been a zigzag career path for me. I'm currently very content with my role just because I get to do data, and I've had a handful of jobs in public health. Just the previous year, I was doing tobacco control at a nonprofit organization. So that was definitely more hands-on and outreach-based rather than sitting behind a computer and analyzing the data. But that's kind of where I am now. I decided to find a way where I can get a background in data analysis and also just really understand certain issues. I'm very big on understanding public health and seeing how your social determinants like your race, ethnicity, your gender, your level of education, and the correlation it has between that and your health outcomes. So hopefully that is the end goal, and we're making our way there right now.
Great. So our next question is, what skills do you think are most important for someone interested in a job like yours? What are your biggest challenges that you face day to day?
Yeah, so evaluation work is not for the faint of heart. It depends on the type of role you have, but there's a lot of editing, a lot of back and forth of your report. So you definitely have to be open to feedback and criticism, but also be able to want to learn. I think that's the biggest component in this job is wanting to learn. That's something that I've taken away through numerous of roles that I had. It's if you don't have the desire to learn, you're not going to continue to grow. And in positions like these, it requires you to be thrown into the deep end, and you don't know where you're going until you get there. And so that's kind of, being able to cope with a lot of the stressors is a very big thing. Also just communication. Communication is key. We are currently taking a lot of leadership courses at my job, and a lot of the just recommendations that we have is being able to talk to your superior or your supervisor and just let them know honestly what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, what support you need, and how you are going to get better. I think being able to speak on speak on your behalf and be your own advocate is very crucial for a role like this. And I've had roles in the nonprofit and for-profit roles, and that is definitely a key takeaway. Oh, and my biggest challenges I think I face day to day. I think I spoke a little bit about that. It was definitely the constant editing and back and forth. It's very detail oriented, so oftentimes I get upset with myself, like, how did I miss that? But that's only because you're going through a report that you've written 2 weeks ago, and it's constant looking back at the same numbers, same words, and you don't see a difference. And so that's definitely a challenge. And now that because we're in a virtual environment, I think that's another challenge in itself. But as long as you do those key takeaways I mentioned earlier, you'll be fine.
So for our next question, we have, what do you enjoy most about the work that you do? What are you most excited about right now?
Yes, so I love data. I love statistics. That comes from a history of hating it, actually. And so now being able to do statistics and understanding different types of descriptive data and just understanding what does that mean in the grander scheme of things, I love it. It's a challenge, but it's something that I really pushed myself to enjoy. What I really love about it is though I get to keep learning. So we have so many projects because we're on different grants, and all of them have different outcomes and different objectives. Although we're currently focused in higher education and STEM projects and programs, we're moving towards different project goals right now. So I'm really looking forward to continuing to understand different departments and different types of, different types of businesses that need evaluation. So whether that is internal evaluation, like how people work with each other, or external evaluation, like how is your business really impacting the people that you're trying to serve. So those are different dimensions that we get to dive into. And I think because it's such a big and broad space, we're just constantly learning. And sometimes that's a little bit overwhelming, but you're just constantly growing as well. So those are some things I'm really, really excited for and what I enjoy about my job.
And our next question is, what recommendations should students explore to enter this field? What are common entry-level jobs?
Yeah, so this field is very, very large. Evaluation, like I mentioned earlier, has different dimensions and different objectives. And so if you're in the public health field, I would recommend starting off in nonprofits and just getting your foot into the door with internships. I think that's the main key into getting these types of roles, is to do internship, unfortunately, or even do part-time. If you're in college and you have the ability to separate your time, trying to go from the internship to a part-time level and then eventually get into a full-time role. I didn't come to the conclusion that I wanted to do this until I went through a lot of trials and errors. But basically, it's not easy to do data, and not everybody likes data. So pick what you really love and focus on it. And if you love challenging yourself and you like the statistics, go take the classes, be up to date on the different types of software programs people are using, whether it's Python or it's SPSS or R. Get familiar with the softwares and just study that on your own time. You don't have to have a course to do that. It makes it easier, but being able to do that and having that on your resume really supports your ability to get that position. So those are some recommendations if you want to do evaluation. And also, get familiar with writing. It's very scientific. It's not grandiose. It's not very descriptive. It's very by the book. So you'll be saying, oh, 5 out of 7 students, blah, blah, blah. And that's literally every sentence. So get familiar with writing that type of way, because that's also part of the communication aspects. And just take it lightly. You don't have to push yourself to get into your dream job just yet. It'll take a while. I'm still taking a while. I'll get there, and I'm sure you will too. Just be open to the opportunities that are given to you, and don't distrust the journey that you have to go through. A lot of the takeaways from jobs, they give you a lot of benefits, so if you're taking customer service, if you're in a customer service job, that's still really crucial to what I'm doing now, because I have to talk to clients and I still have to be able to say yes, of course, even though their wants and needs are a little higher, and I still have to be like, yeah, of course, we'll get it done. So those are some key takeaways. Just every type of job role you have, make sure you're gaining those skills, and even if it seems to be tedious, you are learning and you are growing.
Awesome, thank you. And kind of to build off of that, what would you say would be some classes that would help community college students explore a little bit about that?
Yeah, evaluation work. I don't think I even had any classes specific for evaluation. When you are writing grants, they do require you to say, hey, what is your background? And so recently, when I applied for a grant, my background classes that I included was probably basic statistics. So that's probably a requirement for most community college to move on to, you know, any other Cal States or UC. They do require you to have basic statistics. I'd also take computer science courses, even if it's really basic. Getting familiar with how to write commands is very crucial, because it's all softwares are different. Also, social science research methods. That's going to help you so much, because you learn how to write a survey and what does that mean, and how you have interviews with people, how you don't have leading and creating biases or, you know, any hindsight data. You want to be able to learn how to do those methods correctly. So those are 3 courses that I can say on the top of my mind, from how to write a survey, how to execute a survey, and then now you have the data, how do you make conclusions about it. So those are some basic courses that I can recommend community college students to take.
Great. And for our last question, we have, if you could do it over again, how would you pursue your career path?
Yeah, I appreciate the way that I got here, because I realized what I enjoyed. I started off in market research, and to me, I didn't want to sell more things to people. That didn't sit well with what my master's was based off of, because I wanted to make an impact in people's lives. So selling Taco Bell and promoting Taco Bell was not the best use of my degree. And so I ended up getting into different types of temp jobs where I just engrossed myself in data and trying to figure out Excel. And then I really wanted to get back into public health. And so that's where I did that nonprofit role. And I think after realizing I was mostly doing outreach, I wanted to get back into data. And so I found evaluation positions to be kind of the middle ground between business-centric and also public health impact. And I found that only through making all those trials and errors. And evaluation is not easy. It's different than market research because you're looking at impact rather than like brand to brand data and how to sell more to people. You're looking more so, what has this done for the community or the people that you are creating this program for, or what the intervention is doing. And so I didn't realize that until I got off of market research, and I was like, actually, I don't like this type of data. This data doesn't tell a story for me, it just sells a story. And then I did public health, and then I was like, okay, I'm making a difference in my community, but I have a master's in epidemiology. So I wanted to merge the worlds together, and that's kind of how I got here. So I wouldn't change what my career path was like, because it simply allowed me to chip away with what I wanted to get into. And I think evaluation is one of those roles that you just have to kind of jump through a lot of hoops and figuring out what you like, what you don't like. Is this something that you even want to do? Or if you want to be more data centric, or you want to be more business centric, those are different avenues. So yeah, I think that's kind of something that I preferred. And then hopefully we continue on to chip away, right? And now get into more public health roles in evaluation. So that's kind of how we're going to merge those two passions of mine.
That's awesome. And I'm kind of curious too, in regards to like when you were, going into how you shared like your temp jobs and just entry-level jobs, like what was some of the things, or where would you search, for these different jobs, or networking, was that part of your process too?
Yeah, so I sent countless of emails to people, to HR, that I just knew I didn't know if it was going to be a hit or miss. And oftentimes it was a miss. I think maybe the summer I graduated from my master's degree, I probably sent over 100, and that's like not an exaggeration. It was over 100 emails to whichever HR person that I can get a hold of. And unfortunately, there were some summer jobs that different businesses needed. Even internship roles, I still applied. Even with a master's, you wouldn't think that you needed to apply for an internship role, but I just wanted to get my foot into the door. So I was willing to take whatever I could to get a job. So I definitely use Indeed. LinkedIn is very helpful if you need to connect with people. And I would always recommend searching up a business that you're really passionate about, and then going into their community, their website, and then check out the team, and then see if there's a direct person that you can actually message off of LinkedIn, or if they have an email. That's something that I ended up doing. I even got into the contact with the city of Pasadena. I wanted to talk to the previous the person who was the chair for public health. I wanted to talk to them. I wanted to understand and pick their brains. And I asked if I can have an informational interview with these professionals, because I wanted to see how they got there, because I didn't know how to get there. And so you just got to put yourself out there. Shoot those emails to people, because you don't know if you cast a wide enough net how many fishes you can catch. That was kind of my suggestion for everybody. Is it's okay if you have to bombard people's emails. That's how you get yourself into the door. And if they reject you, it's okay, because that just means you weren't meant for that role, and you'll find one that really does fit you.